So let's get back to our beloved and beautiful national capital. Here's the challenge at hand. Let's look at the Golden Triangle in downtown DC, an area that is anchored between DuPont Circle, the highway at the west, and Union Station on the east. Now, allow me to share some facts visually. The district is one of the largest concentration of office buildings in the nation. The buildings are large in footprint, and many are over 60 years old. Only a small percentage are Class A. Many others, the office space of buildings, are unusable for modern work environment. The vacancy rate is the highest it's ever been, and there's no end in sight. This level poses a huge risk, as we heard, in the city financial stability, causing a loss of billions of dollars in the next years in property taxes. The urban activators, like the National Mall, the Museum District, Georgetown, George Washington University, they're great, but they're not enough for the size of this district. We need more. And retail, where existing, is deep, inefficient, and declining. Most of it was built to service the commuting professionals with very little draw to anybody else. Now, prior to coronavirus, as was said before, thousands of DC area workers commuted daily to work. This density has served to inject livelihood at the street level and dramatically declined. The boundary heart of DC is at risk. And here's the question. The city is already built. The buildings are already there. Can we revive the public realm? Is there a way to infuse new life through adaptive reuse? And can the active public realm give new life to the buildings above? At ODA, we've been asking ourselves this question for quite some time because it's not just a DC problem. It's also a New York City problem, a San Francisco and Chicago problem. And similarly, by the way, it's also London and Santiago problem. It's a global plague on our cities. We'd like to bring back the beating heart of DC by creating an active public realm that does not solely rely on the commuters, but also is attractive to people all the way around the city. If we succeed, this will add value to the buildings above and allow us to basically flip the script. What if the Golden Triangle and the downtown DC were a series of communal courtyards? Allow me to present DC Greenways. Let's focus on the Golden Triangle located between DuPont Circle, the White House, and anchored by K Street and Connecticut Avenue. The streets and sidewalks are not large enough to create a meaningful public realm. On the other hand, the alleyways are used only for service and could be an invaluable public asset. Let's even zoom in more. I would like to propose two surgical changes. Change number one. Let's identify in the district buildings that are too deep for modern use or for residential conversions, and then incentivize developers to cut them at the alleyway side, making them convertible to residential use while relocating the floor area lost to the roof. The value in the upper floor is much higher because of light, air, and views, and will be a major driving incentives for developers and owners. The outside ground floor created by the cut will become privately owned public space, expanding alleyways into landscape gardens open to all. Change number two. For the enclosed ground floor, I propose inclusionary retail, what I call an affordable retail program. Managed by an independent body, owners and developers can exchange the underused ground retail space for area at the top. This underused ground floor will then be rented at a nominal regulated cost to major activators around the city in need for space, including classrooms, performance centers, artist studios, sports facilities, and large gathering spaces. Now, I'm quite aware of DC buildings' height limitation, and therefore I call for a surgical treatment. Only the contributing building will get the height, not the entire zoning district. The roof addition will be set back enough so it's not visible from the street, maintaining a traditional height perception of DC. The result of these two principles would eventually create a series of interconnected, active, creative, and walkable courtyards that draw in the community on a daily growing basis. Let's look at an example. Let's say George Washington University in Georgetown can use both teaching spaces as well as event spaces at the street closer to their campus, and they do. Museums like the Smithsonian, National Gallery, and the Hirshhorn would enjoy artist studios, community program, and open exhibition space, which they need. The new civic program along the extended open space will create transparency and enhance pedestrian activity. The flow of people at the civic anchors will create a chain reaction, attract new type of businesses, free market and under the inclusionary program, inside a courtyard and on the streets. The heart of the Golden Triangle will become a living destination with increased motivations to convert more building to residential. The new local population will demand a new type of family-related retail. Now, the hidden courtyard and the alleyways will become the backbone of these new communities, making the area a more attractive place to live. The affordable ground floor created by the inclusionary program will cater to the needs of the community, not just determined by the market forces. This will lead to a fun, active, and walkable neighborhood, bars, restaurant, galleries, makers space, urban farms, drawing people back into the city center. The new local population will demand services, family needs like playground, childcare, groceries, doctor's office to support the growing residential communities. And here's the best part. More and more people would want to come back to the office. With such a fun and active neighborhood, commuters will enjoy a few days a week in the office. Friends, for any great challenge, there is a great opportunity. Let's work together to create a more realistic plan that can take DC out of the current trouble and present it as the city of the future. Let's go up together, our city agencies, federal agencies, the bids, to envision a more realistic plan that will result in an energetic change. The eyes of the world is looking at DC for a solution. We can step into the new hybrid urban environment being demanded by our citizens. Let's look forward to more families, as the mayor said, more kids, and more whistling moms alike. Thank you for your time.